For the first time in my life, I'm truly free to see the clear-cut forest for the poison sea, to see the waters occupy the shores of Jersey, and I feel alive.
I'm gonna be out of town this weekend, so you did the slides this week.
Yeah, very, very early week. Usually a Saturday or Sunday record. This time it's Thursday.
So what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to be talking about Boris Johnson, the UK, and climate change. Obviously, Boris Johnson, the Tories, very, very interesting people. We will be getting into them today. And really British people as a whole, and climate change as a whole.
Absolutely. But before we get started, let me just ask you a quick question. How was your week? This is a loaded question. How was your week?
Oh, my week. It was an interesting one.
I've never been more ashamed to go to my high school. We'll get into that on
Oh,
today's
for
installment
sure.
of the fucking news. Okay, so why don't you cover this the meme that you have for us today?
So, the meme, when I was going through these slides, the first time I started making them, it was around 11 or 11:30, very, very, very late, and I found this meme in the little cache of files I saved from my old computer, and I just started crying laughing.
Oh, that fucking one.
I have had this sitting in the
HBO.
back of my computer since probably CC episode, 3 or 4, and I've been meaning to work it in, and I've finally gotten it out to everyone. So please
1 million
enjoy.
metric tons.
It's so good.
Okay, so 1 million metric tons, that's at least the weight of 4 Joe Mansions. Anyway, okay, so this is gonna be a story. Story time, sit down.
Yeah.
Welcome to NPR, where today I'm going to be leaning in real close to the mic and discussing my school's fucking idiocy.
We hate our school. We hate
Okay,
everything about
so
our school.
I've never been more ashamed to go to my school. It's no secret at
Agreed.
this point. A lot of people know at our school that we do a podcast, and I think that we've dropped enough points where it's literally you can figure it out on your own.
Cat's
but-
officially out of the bag.
Absolutely, yeah. We I'm gonna stop short of just saying the name, but if you really want to find where we go,
I
you can
agree.
pretty easily find where we go. So
Anyone who cares can find the name for themselves.
this whole saga started a long time ago. It's been a long point in the making. So our school there's this one girl at our school who wants to start a chapter of Turning Point USA as a club. Now, at our school, in order to be a club, you need to get some teacher signatures, you need to find a teacher sponsor, and then it needs to be approved by the school board.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she did the first two, and the school board rejected her proposal to make a Turning Point chapter club because Turning Point is a partisan organization.
It is.
It doesn't allow...
We're going to edit that out.
No, I'm not, because I can't find it.
Oh my god.
They don't allow well, I might. Well, hold on. Can we just stop talking for like 10 seconds so I can edit it out?
Hey, it's Eris in post-production. I was able to find the clip in question and I was able to beep it out. This will be happening again.
Whoopsie daisy, I said the name of the school.
Just add a timely clip of the song American Idiot by Green Day, and we'll move
Okay.
on with our day.
No, I need to do the whole story because this is way too good.
Yeah.
So, our school had a socialist club in the past that was denied for the same reason. It was a partisan club. You can't have those. So, anyway, fast forward through some contentious school board meetings in the month when our school board decides everyone needs to wear masks. Okay, fine. Basically, the school board meetings just evolve into shouting matches. They're super fun to watch now. Fast forward to last week, a judge in Illinois who is very old said that basically most school districts in Illinois can't enforce mask mandates in school. And this was a district court decision that was immediately appealed. Our school was not on the lawsuit, so we're not immediately affected. However, this crew basically took it as their full permission to act like complete idiots. So fast forward to Tuesday when a post is circulating, well, Monday night rather,
Yeah.
No, the story really starts last Friday. A
Fair enough.
student posted, well, so how it goes is a couple students, black females, they posted just some Black History Month in their Snapchats. I think there were about 3 of them. So, okay, fine. Well, this one kid takes it upon himself to text them a sick and disgusting message,
Very, yeah.
the N-word in it. I'm not even going to say it. No, well, of course I'm not going to say it, but I'm not going to say the message in context.
We at Calfire Crackpots do not condone this.
Yes, absolutely disgusting. He DM'd them, and then there were slurs said in the hallway. It was terrible, and we don't quite know what's going to happen to this kid, but what we do know is that that's kind of heightened tensions around the school. So Monday night, this girl who started the Turning Point Club puts on her Snapchat, I'm going to find the clip here. Blank school is asking for a war. We're standing our ground. Masks off tomorrow. Tuesday, about 200 kids show up with no masks, and they get corralled into the cafeteria, which is in the geometric center of the school. So people are going in there, giving them a hard time, harassing them. And then the people who are protesting the mask policy are escalating it. They're calling people slurs and everything. It's a bad time. So eventually the school gives up and shoves them into the auditorium, which is a little bit more out of the way. And a very powerful family in the district is suing the school for segregation. You heard that right, segregation. And they brought pizza and donuts for the anti-mask kids. Anyway, yesterday goes by. Our school finally made the decision to put the kids in some gyms that are super out of the way, and it was kind of sort of the end of it. But then someone puts on their Snapchat last night, walkout tomorrow. Pro-maskers need to show anti-maskers what a real protest is.
So here's where I'd like to interject.
Go ahead.
I can speak out of personal experience and also the experience of others that most of the people involved in the original protest were doing it because it was a free day of school. This is very, very long.
Silence for 10 more seconds.
Well, we said it again. I think that was the last time. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Can we name drop the fucking school again?
All right, we're 1-1.
Yep.
But the no name school Turning Point Club, official, unofficial, whatever, had started. So, if you look at any of the other anti-mask protests that had happened, especially ones that are further in the city and out of the way, and on the weekends, they hardly ever get more than 10 to 15 kids attending, and oftentimes it's mostly just parents dragging their kids along. So when this happens in the middle of a school day, people say, oh, cool, they're getting out of school free, right? So if I just join the protest line, I can get out of school free? And yeah, about 90 of the 100 or so kids that showed up were there because they just wanted to miss a day of school.
Yeah. And then today, a group of counter-protesters gathered outside holding signs. To be fair, they were outside the entire day. I'll give them credit for that. And they were counter-protesting. They started swearing at kids who were walking outside without wearing masks. So both sides really screwed the pooch on this one. I think the best protest would have been to go inside, wear your mask, go to class, and not pay attention to the clowns. That would have been the best counter-protest. Yeah. But no, that didn't happen. But probably the funniest thing that happened was the day after the first protest, they made a compilation of videos of them protesting with American Idiot over it. Now, I love Green Day, and you kicked the hornet's nest with me. You can slander a lot of things, but you can't slander Green Day. And little Halo meme right here. If they want war, we'll give them more. We'll see what happens, but the school board meeting is on Tuesday, and we will be in attendance.
Oh, yeah, we'll be there. What are the two people? We were talking about this before the episode started.
Statler and Waldorf.
Statler and Waldorfing it up.
Public comments
row.
are already full. Oh, I forgot to mention that parents forced themselves into the school after hours because there was like a private school board meeting happening.
Yeah, if you find which school we happen to go to, and you look at the school board meetings, once undescribable school district who shall not be named posts it up on the official webpage, then we'll probably be in the front row eating
Making
popcorn,
a live appearance. Oh, absolutely.
making a live appearance. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the news.
A
So,
lot of tea to start off with.
oh my god. And lobster prices have increased due to high lobster prices.
Yeah. Who
okay.
or what are the Brits? It's a very good question.
The way I understood it is Pink Floyd, in my eyes, has 3 cultural exports. So Top Gear, Pink Floyd, and Fake Taxi are, as far as I know, the only 3 things to ever come out of Britain.
I was about to make a joke about there being a 4th one, but I can't think of a 4th one.
Yeah, okay, the Who, the Beatles, a few.
The Beatles don't count.
Yeah, I don't like the Beatles. That's my hottest of hot takes.
It's 3 good musicians and John Lennon, who counts as -3 musicians.
So what I don't understand, I don't listen to the Beatles at all. So why do Family Guy shit on Ringo so much?
Ringo just kind of gets this reputation for like being the other one. Like, oh, it's Paul. He's the lead vocalist. He plays bass. He's the one that gets the girls. And then it's like, oh, it's George. He's another vocalist. He's very good at what he does. And then there's John. John's there too. He's very good and his solo work is good. But oh, he has Yoko Ono. And then there's Ringo. Ringo did his solo stuff. It was okay. There were some decent songs, but he never had his jets. He never had his sort of George Harrison or Paul McCartney or John Lennon's solo career take off. So he just kind of was the 4th one.
The 10th dentist.
Yeah, the 10th dentist.
Okay,
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a good solo career, but it was not anything compared to Jets.
What do we know about
Wait, oh my
British
god,
people?
did I get the name wrong?
I don't know that much about Pink Floyd. I just like their music.
So I like to retract my statements from before. Jet is a song from the album Band on the Run, produced by Paul McCartney's solo band Wings.
Wings?
I would like to bring up that the last time I listened to a Beatles or any member of the Beatles song is multiple years ago.
You're like driving.
I was driving.
Yeah.
So
it's driving music.
Anytime I've said the word jet so far, replace it with Wings. Paul McCartney and Wings.
Got it. I'll keep that in mind for when we're continuing. The one thing we do know about Britain is they have some absolutely disgusting food.
Awful food.
I don't know what half of this is.
So I'd like to bring you through my collage of awful, disgusting, no good, very bad British food. Let's start at the tinned spaghetti toasty. So spaghetti, mozzarella, white bread, cheddar, plain flour. Why is there flour? I looked at the recipe and I don't think it's fried.
At the height of the British Empire, they had conquered India, Indonesia. Well, I don't know if they did Indonesia, but somewhere in Oceania. America, so many places in the Middle East. You're telling me they couldn't find one good part of any of the fucking cuisine and bring it back to like make their food more interesting?
As it turns
out,
that's
what France did.
They like kebabs a lot, but they call them kebabs, so I don't think that counts.
Oh, a kebab in it.
Oh, a kebab in it. Oh man, what time is it? 7
Boy,
bong.
man, what time is it? It's Tuesday, isn't it?
It's Tuesday. Oh my god. And we've got our We've got our prawn crackers and our canned beans, which for some reason are a food staple.
Canned beans.
Why?
It looks like it looks like either something really disgusting in a cafeteria or really good at an Indian restaurant.
We've got crumpets, which look like all the worst parts of an English muffin.
Wait, you don't? Which part of the English muffin don't you like?
I like the nooks, but I don't like the crannies.
Fuck is the difference?
Oh, the nooks are holes, and the crannies are more craters.
The nooks are holes and the crannies are crater.
I've never had any.
Oh my god. Okay, nooks versus crannies.
It's a bit. I've never
English.
had an English muffin.
I dislike you strongly. Calfire Crackpots is coming to an end. This is the farewell episode.
Oh my god, it's gonna end over English muffins. I knew it. I knew it from the start. Really.
So it's at the Thomas English Muffins. Their brand is the original Nooks and Crannies way to eat right. What? Same.
I don't
great taste, less
understand.
filling. You don't need to. It's Britain.
And
To
let's see what
quote
else.
Pink Floyd, "Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way." So I think this kind of sums it up.
Fair enough. Let's see. We've got biscuits, and we've got biscuits in it, and then we've also got
Biscuits in it?
chips, and we've got chips in it,
And crisps.
and
Wait.
crisps, and
I always forget which one do they call crisp and which one do they call chips.
they call fries chips, and they call chips crisps.
And what do they call? Then what do they call crisps?
There is no such thing.
Well, no, but like,
We don't have anything that we call crisps, and they don't have anything that they call fries. Actually, what do British people call fries?
it's a stupid country. All looks the same. They call them chips. Wait, no, nothing, right?
They call French fries just fries. They're not France. They don't have that right.
I'm moving on from the food slide before I get like really mad. I've heard it's almost impossible to be vegetarian in Britain.
That sounds right. When I was
And-
there, it was mostly like meat pies and
So I went to Britain, right? And you don't go to many things for many different reasons. I don't go to Illinois because I like the weather. I don't go to the East Coast because I like the people. And I don't go to Britain for the food.
yeah.
I went there a few years ago, and okay, I was like, it's kind of a nice place. It's, I was like in probably a kind of a sketchy part of London, and I'm like, this is the same as Chicago. I really can't notice too much of a difference. And anyway, there was a blood curdling scream outside of our hotel at 3 a.m. once. We were there for 10 days, and but certainly not as interesting as the burger I had in the lobby, which was about a foot tall. And it was probably about
What?
2 inches. It had a radius of about 2 inches. Foot tall radius of 2 inches. Imagine that.
I'm so
And-
confused.
There were 4 different cooked styles of eggs. There was scrambled, sunny side up, hard boiled sliced, and soft boiled sliced. 3 different patties. And guess what? It was literally just labeled as burger. Like it wasn't supreme special burger.
That's just you got a regular burger, and that's what you
It
ended
was
up
just
getting.
a regular burger. Man,
I'm gonna-
America, you have some good food, not gonna lie.
I just found this. Apparently, a chip buddy is an English food that's literally just French fries in between 2 slices of white bread.
The Mariano's World Food section is probably the closest I get to going to Britain, and at that point, I think it's too close. 'Cause it's all like the terrible British food that like.
It's all like, oh hey, we make our Smarties, which are what we call M&Ms, and we put them in a hexagonal box. Wow, we're so crazy.
I'm moving on.
Thank you. So if you take a look at our dentistry map, we can find that there's 125 practicing dentists per 100,000 people in Greece, which I was frankly very surprised about. But if you direct your
I've never
attention,
been to Greece. I don't really.
I've never been to Greece either.
All of them are funded by the World Bank. Is the thing.
Yeah, I've never. Well, if you direct your attention a little bit more north and east, you can see that
Britain's
doesn't look
kind
like
of
they're
like in
doing
the,
too well.
they're in the mid tier though.
They're in the mid tier. I'll give
They
them
don't
that.
say
But
for Northern Ireland though. So like,
they're beating Bulgaria, so that's not like if you're how does it if your achievements are that you're beating Bulgaria, Poland, Hungary, like these are not you're
if
not
that's your
like
bar,
taking
shame
home
on
the
you.
gold by beating Hungary in something.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting. This is a very educational map, but why does Estonia have the highest?
Of?
Dentist is 94. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's second highest. Greece wins by a lot. Jesus.
Yeah.
The only one in that blue category. So what can we learn from this? The big book of British smiles from the Simpsons.
The
is
big
what
book
I'm
of British smiles.
thinking.
Oh god, I should have added that. Uh such a good quip.
Okay.
I think that what we can learn is that you should never judge a book by its cover. Just because there's dentists practicing doesn't mean they get good business.
Why do British people have such bad teeth?
I don't know. I don't know how that stereotype came to be, but I also don't know how it came to be so true.
I mean, I'm looking this up.
I'm just
So
gonna search
the
up why do
answer is-
British people exist?
So it looks like, I guess from the cursory Google search, there's less emphasis on teeth being pretty, being associated with beauty in British culture, which, as far as I've kind of seen, like, British culture is very similar to American. So I'm not quite sure where that disconnect is.
Yeah.
But there's oh my god.
Oh, it might be whether or not they have fluoride in the water. I don't know whether or not they enrich their
Oh,
water in the same
okay.
way we do.
Oh,
That certainly makes a
oh.
difference.
Oh my god, I need to stop. All right, I will never be a dentist ever as long as I live. That is disgusting.
Oh
William
god, I forgot
Defoe.
the Austin Powers teeth.
The Austin Powers teeth were okay. Oh, he had like bits in between them. Like it wasn't necessarily the color of the teeth, it was just what was between them.
It's satire. Although he is still British.
Ugh. Anyway, moving on. Brainfall.
Now to actually address the matter at hand, as it stands right now, climate change is already kind of at work in Britain. Just in between the 80s and now, we're seeing a high anomaly rate for rainfall and temperature, whether that be high or low. In our case, it's sort of the opposite of what we've covered so far. Rainfall is much, much higher than average in almost all of Britain. And then that's also coupled with a very high temperature, which is even expected to change the Köppen climate type from a sort of temperate cold summer, so it's CFC or DFC, to a CFB, which is a temperate and warm summer.
Front row.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Well,
We've got climate escapades on our hands.
So there
my
wasn't
God.
like a middle, like a median between there?
What do you mean?
As in like it's cold and then just warm. There's not like temperate summer.
No, it's so it's temperate, cold, and warm, and then whether or not there is a dry season, and then the temperature within the summer. So
Okay.
what we're seeing is that depending on the region, it can be an average of cold or temperate, and that stays true. But in the summer, we're getting a higher temperature spike. You can see on the map that we're getting up to a 14 degrees Celsius anomaly value in between temperatures in 1981 and the same area in the same time of year in 2010.
Okay.
And I mean, that's just from 2010. That data is still going up rapidly. But
So
yeah.
interesting bit of trivia, right? So when I went to Britain, my
I went with my grandpa, who's like super leftist. And anyway, we go to this like random pub in like the country, and my grandpa finds this couple there who are like extremely Tory. And this was like 2 weeks before the Brexit vote. And my grandpa gets into like a heated debate with them. And he's like, go back to the hotel, I'll meet you there. He comes back like 2 hours later.
Hmm.
He is a king. Absolute king.
Do you think he decked them?
Um,
I think there's a solid chance.
no. One thing I will say is that in the British countryside, all of the streets are like super unintelligible. So, but they'll literally be like XYZ44 road.
Yeah.
Like they'll tell you with a
It's
straight face, and it's like, oh yes, go to Tuesday XY44ZQ road.
every other country handles zip codes in such a weird foreign way, and I do not understand it.
Yeah, B4009. But you wouldn't know that. In America, we just call that like High Street or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So the thing is, really, what happens with warmer temperatures, even if it is still in a temperate area, is that plants in the UK have been flowering and blooming up to a month earlier than typical, which can sort of introduce a tangle into an ecosystem where, a lot of birds base their migratory paths on where food is during a given time of the year. So if they migrate to an area that should have fruit just about to start growing on trees, that fruit could already be off the tree in the case of apples and things. And if there are bugs that come out based on weather, then those bugs may already be gone by the time the birds come, and food might not be available for them. But on top of that, it's not just about birds, it can also affect agriculture, because if you have a really warm winter and you have plants that really just kind of never stop growing and have a very early spring flower, which is very common in these sort of scenarios, a late frost can still hit any time before April, and that can just kill off an entire wave of buds and totally ruin a crop for an entire year. And
yeah,
you can also get freeze burn, obviously, just from having uncharacteristically warm temperatures, which cause leaves to set in, and then they frost off.
and then yeah, I taught like early frost. So sometimes what'll happen around here is it'll get super warm in March, and there'll be like weeks where it's like 50s to 70s, and then winter in Chicago doesn't go off without a fight. So of course in the first 2 weeks of April we get like 2 feet of snow and then like -4, and then winter's done.
I'm far
In
too familiar
Chicago,
with that. Yeah.
there's really only two seasons. It's winter and summer. It's really hard to come by an intermediary in terms of one ends so quickly.
Yeah.
And if we have a season where, especially during like a very, very bad La Nina year, which probably won't happen this year, but we get a super early warm spell. And so a lot of apple orchards will start blossoming early, and then we'll get like a frost for a week, and then that kills basically all the blossoms for the entire year.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I've planted things like figs and other fruit trees outside before, and what's happened is I've done it in April because I think, oh, they'll have just the right amount of time to establish roots and maybe put on a few extra branches before the first frost hits in, November. And then the last frost hits very, very late in the year, in like the middle of April, out of nowhere.
You have
Just,
from like May to September.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And
Yeah, that.
then I just have a plant that gets freezer burned and dies instantly. And you can't do anything about that.
Well, you're
But
the ones
those
trying to plant
anomalous,
tropical plants outside, though.
I don't plant the tropical ones outside. I'm only talking about figs right now.
Right.
for lemons and stuff, I pay attention to the climate, and whenever it's above 55 consistently for the nightly low, that's when they get to go outside. But
Interesting.
climate change does make those anomalies even more common. It can make late frosts later and early frosts earlier.
Absolutely.
Who do we go to when we need our anomalies dealt with and our
Who you
climate
gonna
change gone and
Who
our
are we going to
apples to
call?
stop freezing off the trees? The current authorities in the UK, at least, are Boris Johnson, current Prime Minister,
And this terrible logo.
and he's part of the UK Conservative Party, who most people will call the Tories. And as a member of the Tories, he's been pretty quiet about anything to do with climate change policy, especially during his time during Brexit. As former
Well, they
mayor
got their
of
wish,
London,
and
yeah.
they're loving it, aren't they?
Ugh,
They're
why?
they're loving Brexit. They're loving not having any lorry drivers, and they're loving supply shortages worse than the U.S. And they're also like loving homelessness and poverty and wealth disparity and rent increases, all of the lovely tenets of conservative rule.
I was going to finish my sentence, but actually, let's talk about Brexit a little bit.
Oh boy.
So, really, oh my God. So, going all the way back to the start, someone somewhere says, hey, the UK isn't tolerating the EU anymore. We need change. Instead of
Yep.
asking the EU for a referendum or potentially compromising with them and finding a plan, we should straight up and leave. And Theresa May obviously is very surprised by that, because why? Why would you do that? So, in an effort to become a compromiser, she introduces the Checkers plan, which immediately pisses off both sides. The side that thinks it's too easy on the EU and not good enough for Britain immediately criticizes it, and the side that's rational and doesn't want Britain to leave their financial agreement immediately says, why are we doing this? Because of course they do. And then it becomes such an issue that she steps down from her role and we get Boris Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And he, what is it? The SciShow Bob, like the SciShow Bob quote of a conservative leader ruling you like a king. He says, yeah, you elected a Tory. Us Tories get it done. And he goes back on 4 years of progress towards a soft leave, and he just hard leaves out of the EU.
Well, no, because the thing is, remember, if you join any alliance of nations, you're weak, and then someone's gonna invade you at any moment, and you're economically screwed. That's the thing you're not seeing here, and that's the thing that Boris Johnson was just so woke to as he got out of his hurricane force winds on his way to his deliver that message.
Yeah. Why does his hair look like that?
So, I had this experience. I'm growing out my hair right now, and I was in this phase for a while, and that your hair wasn't long enough to like tie back, but it still was long enough to be annoying and go over your eyes. And I think Boris Johnson is just stayed in that phase that all trans people hate, which is your hair's not long enough to tie it back, but it's long enough to look like shit. So he just likes that phase for some reason. So
I can't
guess
blame the
that's
guy's
what we
fashion
have.
habits.
I really can't, but he has the same suits. He doesn't have nice teeth either.
At least he can find a properly fitting suit. But speaking of the Tories
boy.
hold a majority share by
Do they ever.
13 votes over every other party combined. And the thing about that is they're known for being the least involved in any sort of climate-related accord or act, and most referendums exist as piggybacking other bills, including their current commitment. Yeah, commitment. So if we go to our commitment on the next slide, then
Next slide.
yeah, next slide. The government has a commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the UK by 50% on 1990 levels by 2025 and a net zero by 2050. And Parliament declared a climate change emergency recently. However, this does not legally compel the government to act. If we turn to
it does not.
Merriam-Webster, we can find that a commitment is an engagement to assume a financial obligation at a future date. No
So
guaranteed future date.
What you've done is you've turned this podcast into the introduction of a middle schooler's essay.
Look, so in a commitment, there's no future date. There's no degree of obligation. There's no definition on how strict that engagement is simply going to be. So a commitment is really just a nation declaring at some point, with some amount of resources, they'll address it in some way, which is just a massive PR grab.
It makes me feel so good to be a British citizen, and
oh my god,
I really love how pretty much everyone defaults to assuming that every person in Britain talks like they're from East London. No, most British people have relatively normal sounding accents, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Also, who's with the one teacher at our school who has the British accent?
Oh yeah, there's There's another a paraeducator for the gym department. I want to say that's got a really strong British accent. He's just kind of there sometimes when I'm in that room.
Oh, the para union's about to go on strike.
Oh yeah, para union's popping off because the pay is awful and does not scale at all.
Oh yeah, terrible.
Man, we're a week away from our school just like having a teacher strike.
Dude, again, I just wanted to point out that freshman year, I said we're juniors now. I said at any point blank school is about one bad week away from completely collapsing.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what I said. Freshman year. That was about it was probably a few months before COVID. I don't think LT came even close to collapsing then. I think everyone went online and was fine. But I think this is the one bad week.
We're in it right now. We're in the home stretch before the total before it implodes Chicago public school style on us.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. The teachers here get paid too well to pull anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I really can't. I know what's gonna happen is that the school board meeting is gonna go down in history as like a complete shit show, and the LT is gonna kind of cave a little bit and be like, we need to start curtailing mask rules. But then the teachers union is gonna say, no way, no how. We're going to go on strike, and then the school is going to need to be shoved between teachers going on strike and parents murdering them.
It'll be funny.
It's so the superintendent and I, through a bunch of different circumstances, are very close, on a first name basis. So it's really funny when I see him in the hallway, and we basically get into a really good conversation, and I get a little bit of tea how they're kind of like really going ham on the school board meeting being like safe.
Really?
Because that's all he would say. He's like, we're really trying to like up the security for the school board meeting.
Oh, we gotta be there.
I see no reason why we shouldn't go.
It's not even an if at this point. It's a when. We have to go.
The one where the guy got arrested, it wasn't really that crowded, but I foresee this one being pretty packed.
Yeah. I think, what is it? Calfire Crackpots 24 might be like episode 4.5, where it's just recap.
Calfire Crackpots 24, I think almost the entire episode is going to be on the school board meeting.
Yeah. I'd be down.
Oh my God, this is going to be... I'm scared. I'm kind of scared for it.
It's going to be great. I'm going to love every second of it. But we're touching right now on one of my least favorite things, which is the word commitment, because everything boils down to one's accountability. And if we take a look at what are you saying?
Probably during every step of the climate crisis, when it comes to either me making slides, researching episodes, or just reading the news, every time I see a word pledge or proposes, a very, very small part of me, I don't think this is ever going, I don't think my spirit will ever break completely on this, but a very small part of me dies because that word, those
It
words,
means nothing's gonna happen.
they commit, they pledge it, they propose it. Okay, when is it going to be this is happening or money was given to this? And I think really the closest thing that I've come in my because my formative political moment was Trump. Um
Yeah.
and I think that says a lot as to what people of my immediate generation are expecting from politics. We have an extremely low bar, and the fact that we're still disappointed says a lot. And
Yeah, you have a whole generation of people that were introduced to the presidential candidate who won that really should have been knocked out of the race as soon as they mocked the disabled reporter, and they still won the primaries.
well, no, the T is that a lot in like a non-trivial amount of Democrats voted on the Republican primary for Trump because there's no even if he like we want Trump to win the primary because there's no way he can win against whoever the Democrats throw.
I
And
find that
Trump and
dumb.
because of that and I don't know if that would have swayed the vote in his favor if the people hadn't have done that. But what I do know is that if the Democratic vote hadn't been split by the Green Party, because the Green Party got 3 million votes that election, or if Hillary's emails hadn't come out 2 weeks before the election, who knows where we would be now. But
Yeah. How do people
we can't focus on that is the thing.
how do people never remember that the Republican Party's biggest strength is the fact that they always vote for one candidate, and very, very few times have they split over different party lines? That's
Because
their big thing.
well, no, the Republicans' greatest strength is that when a Republican president comes in, the economy continues along the path set out by the previous president. That's why you can gauge the best way to gauge how the president did with the previous president with the economy did is to look at the first 2 years of the next president's term. Because the economy is such a big engine, failing like COVID or a general strike or anything, it's hard to change it as immediately as that. So the rapid inflation happening right now is a lot of it due to a good amount of Americans having like the upper 25% of Americans gaining wealth during the pandemic and them now just spending it all like crazy now. And combine that with just the lowest interest rates seen since like fucking 1926. And I don't know, man, studying the Great Depression right now,
Yeah.
some of the build up in the 20s right now is in the 1920s. Wow. Extremely deregulated big business, blatant consumerism, people generally not caring about corporate overreach and espionage, low tax rates, low interest rates, lots of economic bubbles building up, lots of things purchased on credit, a shrinking middle class. I don't
You
know,
love
but
to hear it.
what followed the Great Depression was about 40 years of civil rights growth and economic liberalization and progressive reforms. So I don't know. I'd like to think we've already gone through the hard times with COVID, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem to have gotten enough people woken up.
Although,
Anyway,
I would like to bring up that we recently have come up with quite the commitment for the future. In fact, we here at Calfire Crackpots have come up with the carbon negative pledge by next
yes.
Friday, which, if you look at your watches, is tomorrow. So if you pay attention,
Jesus, shit, how am I going to become carbon negative?
if you pay attention to our pledge on the next slide, then we have called it the 4CBA FINDAI. It's a very, very good plan.
Yes.
It's actually one of the best on the plan so far. And
Yeah,
the Calfire
but-
Crackpots Climate Change Big Ass Fan in the Desert Affordable Initiative for CBA-FINDAI
It's a
is an
fan the
innovative.
size of Libya.
It
It will
is.
change the spin of the Earth. It's already installed. There's nothing you can do. It launches in 3.5 hours, and there's nothing you can do.
It's an innovative piece of legislature. It allows us to capture upwards of 100 billion gigatons of carbon only 12 hours after launch and trumps all other countries' efforts to date combined. It's supported by the taxpayer alone, but will
Yes.
be, according to Calfire Crackpots researchers, entirely free to fund.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's right.
think,
Libya
in
didn't want
my
the land.
opinion, that we've single-handedly solved
Yeah.
climate change for our children and their children.
Yeah, what we've done is, instead of reaching out to youth climate organizations, trying to collaborate grassroots efforts and all that, we've just built a fan in the desert.
Yeah,
It's going to use so much electricity you won't be able to go to Chuck E. Cheese for months.
look at it. We committed. We put out the commitment, and the
Put out the commitment,
problem is solved.
Okay,
So if it's not done by tomorrow, let's just move the goalpost forward. We'll get it done.
absolutely, yeah. I
And-
love I'm just looking at the net zero. So Madagascar has already achieved net zero. I don't imagine it's that difficult for them to do it.
Call it a developing country.
I guess. Okay. Guana. Come on. I'm not gonna pretend I've heard of a lot of those places. I'm not a big geography person.
Let's see what else. Guinea-Bissau. I actually know for a fact that Guyana and Guinea-Bissau have the highest carbon sink per capita out of any
Yeah.
country.
Because I was like, if your country is like pretty much all rainforest,
Pretty much, yeah.
like, I don't know how difficult that would be.
Then Benin and Gabon are both in the middle of Africa, very little development. It just makes sense. And
Yeah.
then Nepal is very low population density in a very non-impactful area. Like
I wonder
these are
what's Turkey on that so net like 2050 is the big net zero pledge for the world. Why do they need to move it back 3 years? They must have done more research than everyone else if they figured out they needed those 3 more years.
If I had to guess, there was probably some giant climate accord that all of these big countries were in. Because if you look at the ones in 2050, South Africa,
Paris stuff.
Kazakhstan, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Argentina, US, Canada, most Western European countries, it makes sense that there was probably a referendum somewhere that says we're going to get it done by 2050. But Turkey probably went about it themselves. Turkey's kind of the kid that doesn't get invited to the lunch table.
Kid
And
that doesn't get invited to the EU.
they
Has to
said,
wait
we're going to
another
be
20
different.
years.
We're going to be different. We're going to make our own climate reform. It's going to be so great. And it's going to be in 2053.
Oh. I wonder when North Korea. Oh, of course, North Korea. There's no carbon emissions coming out of North Korea. They're a perfect country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their leader
there's
did
no-
bowl a 18 golf frame in their very first time golfing, and
Yeah,
decided the game was so good that they were never going to play it again.
Yeah, I mean, in best Korea, of course, there's no, they don't emit any carbon dioxide, and it's just sunshine and industry,
Yeah,
and we're off the air in Korea.
you
Bye,
love
North
to
Korea.
see it.
They're not gonna be here. Kim Il Sung is going to need more embalming fluid. Anyway,
Yeah, but
we already did
commitments.
that.
Unfortunately, not every country can hold to our amazing, shimmering commitments. In fact,
Absolutely.
the COP26 summit had happened a few years back, and there was a 100 billion promise to finance climate change acts. That's a billion with a B, which is about, what is that, an eighth or a ninth of what the US alone spends on their military. But this is pretty much
like an
every
eighth, yeah.
developed country pulling into it.
Well, no, the thing is, if we don't blow each other up, how are we going to stop Russia from polluting?
Yeah, I think really the
I-
ultimate takeaway, though, is just you can address it two ways. Either you can hold countries and organizations legally accountable and actually make these legislative legally bound guidelines for a country or a group of countries, or you can encourage people to become more involved and demand that these broken promises actually become filled. Because the people who make these promises know that all people care about is a shiny new number and a good feeling when they have their morning Joe before their 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And
I,
yeah,
I guess, and the thing is, if an elected official, the only thing they care about is getting reelected, um, use that against them, I guess.
that's a big thing to deal with, that
And
most elected officials, if not all, have a sole goal, and it's to keep their job.
yeah, and we don't advocate for any sort of violent revolution either. In This isn't tongue in cheek. I think that the whole concept of eco-terrorism and all those edgy things people try to throw out is such like it's such a stupid waste of time. It's a waste of energy, and
You're not going to get people on your side doing
you're
them.
radicalizing people, and also that's just so dangerous. You're no better than them.
Like
Don't
spiking trees so that loggers get injured. Loggers
you
aren't the
can't
problem. It's their
you can't
job.
stoop down to their level, man. It's in a lot of ways how I view the whole. I guess the thing with climate change is that it's very hard to take a radical approach to it, just because the radical approach would have been 20, 30 years ago. And at this point, yes, we might go over, but every year more coal plants shut down. Every year, through just realizing that it's cheaper to not destroy the earth, more companies switch to making shoes out of recycled fish nets or things like that. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. It's people and companies, because we don't necessarily need the infrastructure bill. We don't necessarily
Yeah.
need um, countries and Xi Jinping, Joe Biden to get on Zoom together and talk about how which one is producing more concrete than the other. What we need is people to care, because once people do care, it's not something that anyone else can ignore. Anyway,
And I think it's kind of like how some people set these New Year's resolutions for themselves where they say, I'm going to lose 300 pounds. No goal, no plan on the way, no portioning, no dieting, nothing listed like
Mhm.
that. Losing 300 pounds is the only goal. And when you do something like this, where you say, I'm going to put $100 billion into climate change and into research, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. And it's like 2050, by 2050, so much of the developed, if we take these plans at face value, so much of the developed world is going to be carbon neutral that climate change won't really be a problem anymore. And 2050 is 28 years away. That's almost I guess imagine, for the sake of modern times, that's the fall of the Soviet Union to now. It's not quite 28 years, but it's close enough. So okay, you got fall of Soviet Union, you got all the bullshit that happens in the 90s, Al Qaeda, 9/11, invasion of Iraq, all the bullshit that happens during Obama's first term, more Middle East stuff, Syrian war, Trump, 4 years of wasted time, a, a pandemic that takes up the whole world's time for 2-3 years, and then boom, there you are, 2050. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a we didn't start the fire thing. So like international scuffles, scandals, idiots in power, it's gonna keep happening. And whether we like it or not, it's the wheel always keeps on turning. It's every generation is going to get a little bit better, but each generation is stupid in its own little way.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, oh
Next
boy,
episode,
Jesus Christ,
we're going to be
fucking
talking
tall.
about Middle America and how Middle American people get their water, and about the Mormon Church a little. The Mormon
Or we
Church
might
marrying
just not.
40 women, or we might not. I think I would love to talk about Joseph Smith, and the very tall man in the blanket is actually
So,
Moroni, who is the
this
angel
is
that Joseph Smith envisions.
this is where his feet would be, assuming he was normally proportioned. So Does he have a really long torso or really long legs?
He's standing on the stool you used to get up to the cookie jar. He has it under the ropes.
Because no, because his arms are about the same length as the other guy, so he's not just a bigger like
Oh,
person.
the other guy is actually Joseph Smith, founder of the faith.
Yeah, but I imagine he's about the same, like the height as he's like an average heighted person.
Yeah,
They really got the North Campus railing ends here, don't they? If
do we
you know,
need the
you
10
know.
seconds of silence, or are we just gonna...
I don't care.
You don't care? Okay, fair enough.
What we've been doing is every time one of us accidentally name dropped the school we went to, we would have 10 seconds of silence, so I know to edit it out later on.
You
I
did it
don't
once.
think-
I did it once.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, but because
Just
we're not
add a very loud Tucker Carlson screaming over it, or I have this I have a video I'll send you of Jerry Seinfeld screaming at the top of his lungs. I think you can use that as a pretty sufficient edit.
I have I'm just gonna put a 1 kilohertz. I have a YouTube video, and it's Tucker Carlson saying, "White boy busting down sexual style, not necessarily be considered goated with the sauce." And then it's like on the phone with Donald Trump on the Fox News, like, "That's what I've been saying, Tucker. You know, it's a tremendous people who
That's
have
what I'm saying.
the busted down sexual styles, goated with the sauce." I don't know.
God.
I've been working on the Trump impression. My voice is too high to do it.
That's fine.
Anyway, wow, good job on the
What-
slides.
Yeah, thank you.
That was cool. This was weird to be in the back seat. Don't worry, I'll be doing this. I'll be taking up this torch next week because I was out of town.
Feel
this
free to
weekend.
outsource whenever you need.
Absolutely. I will keep you in mind, but I don't know, any shout outs before we go?
Let's see.
Shout out to the district that shall not be named school board. And I hope you all survive the school board meeting because I really wish you guys the best of luck.
Shout out to Zoom when I'm doing all my classes from home 2 weeks from now. We're on a full school strike.
I know one of the assistant principals watches this.
Really?
Yes. So if you're here, man, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for putting up with all this shit that's been happening.
I'm not gonna lie.
You guys rock.
They do as good as they can with this kind of stuff. If I were in this position, I would not know what to do.
I just want to say, if I was in your position, I would not be civil at the school board meetings.
Oh, for sure. By this point,
You guys,
there would
like,
be
sit
about
there and
100
take it
people on
so
an
hard.
expulsion list, and I'd just be signing it like, you know that one photo of Trump that was circulating early in the presidency?
Of all
where
of the, like, at 20 billion executive orders.
That would be me with every single, like, expulsionary order on my desk.
It's really hard to expel someone from a public school, though.
Oh, yeah. If you expel someone from a public school, that's basically just, like, kicking them to a curb and saying, you have to drive 10 miles to school now.
But, like, to get expelled from a public school, you need to do something really, really bad. And then you basically need, like, to have a lawyer and, like, a trial with the school board.
It's crazy.
Oh,
Frankly,
every school does it differently, but I don't know how you guys do it.
The only thing that do get you expelled from school, at least at this point, is something that's actually criminal.
Yes. Even then, though. Because what this kid did was defamation and actionable threats.
Yeah. There was the other kid that said horrible racist things, and that's frankly
he got
more of an
in-school
expulsionary
suspension,
offense.
didn't
But
he? Yeah, this isn't the first time this has happened. This happened again 2 years ago. He got his ass saved though because COVID happened like a few weeks later. So
yeah, he sits next to me in my pre-calculus.
is he like a normal kid?
He seems normal. Yeah, he seems
That's
pretty
good
well
to hear,
adjusted.
because what you're always worried about is I don't even care at this point. If the school goes too lenient, which is what they did several years ago, you create someone like Nick Fuentes.
Yeah,
And
I think
because
it's impossible to deny that Nick Fuentes is from here.
the radio show gave him a platform, and he would say something like anti-Semitic, and the school would be like, it's fine, he's not hurting anyone. And then it would keep escalating. He would say something more reprehensible, more and more and more. And then he was indicted in the January 6th insurrection. So
He was,
it can get bad.
former
And then-
student body president.
Also, the other danger is if you punish someone too hard, they're completely socially ostracized, and like you get your pound of flesh from them, they're just going to find people who are even worse than them
Yeah,
and become worse. So it's a difficult line to cross, and I could never be an educator of any younger than college.
for sure. I
You-
could
you
maybe
would-
do like upperclassmen high scores, but it'd have to be like honors classes.
I don't know. Like what I want to do is like maybe later in my career, like be a university professor or something. But like maybe I'd want to do graduate, but like maybe undergrad. Like that's
Yeah,
how
like
much
teaching
I'm
like
not,
30-year-olds.
like that's how much I'm completely unwilling to put up with anything.
I'd be willing to put up with stuff, but frankly, most of the job will be offset by the fact that I could talk about like my worst kids in the teachers' lounge.
I would probably not be in the union, literally just because they wouldn't let me in because I made a kid stand outside in the cold for like not wearing a mask or something. If I was like a college professor now, I would like actually make a kid like leave and never come back. I probably would fail a kid if they refused to wear a mask.
Yeah, at this point, like if we went to a private school that was actually democratic, which I know is very
boy.
uncommon for private non-magnet schools.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, like we could go to like the U Chicago lab, but like not even like that place is kind of weird. Man, where are the liberal private schools?
Like IMSA, that's what I'm saying. There's not liberal private schools. There's magnet schools,
Yeah,
which tend to be liberal.
like isn't Walter Payton CPS though?
Walter Payton is, I want to say.
But like Lane Tech is probably my favorite Chicagoland high school, just because they're still CPS, so they're still like at least a little down to earth, even though they're in like the bougiest part of the north side. But like they're not completely insane like New Trier is in terms of a public school, because that's Winnetka, which is Northside Naperville.
Yeah. I think there's a handful that Wayne Tech feels like a real school, just a nice real school.
Yeah.
There's no blaming them.
I mean, yeah, like they do well in competitions. They're not like an asshole in sports. They just seem to be down to earth people. Timothy Christian is the weird one.
That's the
weird one. So that's the one where it's preschool through 12th grade, the same school, the same building. So we went there for MUN. I don't think we were quite friends yet, but it was the last MUN before COVID, and there were 4 floors. The bottom floor, which was the basement, was built up like a preschool and like kindergarten. The first floor, there were like elementary school paintings on the wall. The third floor was built like a middle school, so you had like early STEM stuff and then like algebra. And then the fourth floor was like obviously high school. And it is culty. I know my parents work with some people who have kids go there. Like they're not friends with people from other schools. They never date people from other schools. It is.
I can't imagine what it would be like to go to a school and if you have beef with someone,
You have beef with someone and you're with them for
down.
15 years. I could never.
Because
If
I had
I
beef
have
with a lot of
beef
like
with someone,
I had beef with a bunch of people in middle school because like, people are awful in middle school, and as soon as we get to high school, all of a sudden class size pretty much for me increased about 20 times.
yeah, because we have a 4,000 student body.
Insanely big. And all of a sudden those people just fade away because
Yeah, and
what
it's
do
like-
you know? I have an entirely different set of interests. Like,
This is a large character flaw with me. But if I have beef with someone, I need them completely out of my life.
that's fair.
Like
can't
I
blame you.
cannot deal with them at all. Like if I'm in the same room as them, I constantly perseverate on the fact that I'm in the same room as them. It's not good. I'm trying to work on it.
That's a certain person
Who shall not be named? Never.
Who shall not be? Well,
Never.
you and me both know it. We
We
both
both
know
know.
it, but they don't.
Anyway, that's
The point
it.
of contention
Yeah.
is how they
See you
act.
around.
Where you draw the line will set you free. The debate is over.